here. There we go. Can I turn it up? Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias, and we are in the studio once again on a beautiful day here in Seattle, Washington, with our guest, Mr. Raymond Flomaster Coates, all the way from California. Here we have via StreamYard as our guest today, and we're going to be talking about music and business and the work it is that he's been doing worldwide, y'all. So we are excited to have him on the show with us today. But before we jump into our interview, as I always love to do, is to be able to go ahead and give a couple of announcements and what's going on here in the 206 area. We have upcoming the Women in Business Expo Group Health and Wealth Builder event. This is number 5, y'all. We've been doing this for the last 5 months and educating our audience and all of you out there on living a toxin-free lifestyle. You know, health and wealth, they go hand in hand here. And this is something it is, like I said, that we've been doing for the last 5 months, is educating our community on improving our health and improving our wealth and how we can do those two together. So for those of you that are out there that would love to attend our next Health and Wealth Builder event, that's going to be August 22nd, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Beacon Hill Library located here in Seattle, Washington, 2821 South Beacon Avenue. So come on out. This event is free. You can register on Eventbrite, or you can check out our Facebook page, womeninbusinessexpogroup.com, for more information and details in how to register for that event. And again, come on out. We're going to have free samples, refreshments. There'll be a brief presentation. We're going to be talking about how to detoxify your home, you know, and how to create passive income for yourselves too. So for those of you that are out there that are maybe looking for additional income, you know, supplemental ways it is to better the budget, we'll say, you know, come on out and join us. Again, that event is going to be August 22nd, Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Beacon Hill Library located right here in Seattle, Washington. Also, too, coming up, we have the Girlfriends event, y'all. This is the 2nd year. Sacramento, California. Look out, we're coming from Washington State. October 23rd and 24th in Sacramento, California at the convention center there. This is the Girlfriends convention there. And we want to give a big shout out to Lady Charmaine down there in Sacramento, who has cordially invited all of us to come on down. If you are interested in attending, again, you can check out the Women in Business Expo Group Facebook page for more information and details and how to purchase your tickets. You know, go ahead and get your airline tickets, your hotel reservations, and come on out. This is a Girlfriends weekend. Again, that date is October 23rd and 24th, Sacramento, California, at the convention center there in California. So again, I want to welcome you all to Women Empowerment Talk Radio and our guest, Mr. Raymond Flomaster Coates. We have here on the StreamYard link with us today. Mr. Raymond Coates, why don't you go ahead, let our listeners know a little bit more about yourself, and welcome again to the show on Women Empowerment Talk Radio. We are so glad to have you here.
Carmelle, thank you very much. You know, I have a great sense of admiration for you and what you're doing. My name is Raymond Uncle Ray Coates.
Yeah.
I'm a singer, songwriter, recording artist, author, and live entertainer from California. My music blends Southern soul, blues, R&B, and gospel influences. I have been singing for many years, but I'm still creating new music and building my career as an independent artist. I also operate a company called West Coast Groove Productions, LLC. And my goal is to make music that tells real stories, touches people's hearts, and keeps live music alive. And as you mentioned at the opening of your show about health and wellness, I have a wonderful thought that health is when you listen to good music, and not only just listen to good music, but music that makes you dance. That's healthy.
Okay. Yes, saying that's what it is all about, is improving our health in many different ways it is that we can go about doing that. You know, before we jump into the interview today, Raymond, you know, we were previously talking about, you know, how we met. And you and I met at the Sacramento Black Business Expo probably about 2 or 3 years ago now. I was down in Sacramento. We were doing some vending and attending an event down there. And we were at the gala dinner that night. And Mr. Raymond Coates sat at my table. And from there on, you know, we've just built the relationship and stayed in contact. And now he's with us today on the show. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time and coming on the show with us today and kind of sharing your journey, your expertise, all your musical background and your history and everything with our listening audience.
Thank you, Carmel.
Yes,
You're a
yes,
wonderful person. Yeah,
yes, yes.
bold. You're bold and courageous. And I knew that when I first sat down at the table, because person like me, man, people see me coming and they're like, don't sit at my table. Because they know I'm going to start rapping to them. I'm going to start talking because I love people. I love communicating with people.
Yes, and that was
So,
initially known when you and I sat down at the table together at the dinner that night, and that was why I enjoyed it so much. Was just you just came right in and we just started talking and had a good time. So
thank you.
I'm glad that that divine meeting came about, and look what came out of that now. So you are on the show with us and able to talk about the work it is that you're doing in the community. Now let our listeners know where are you exactly from?
I'm from San Francisco.
Yes, yes. And you do a lot of traveling too. I kind of keep my eye on you too, in the work it is that you're doing. You've been traveling a lot with your music. I mean, from San Francisco, it seems like Atlanta, I think I seen on there and many
Hmm.
other places. Yeah, so your music has taken you on a definite journey, to many different places. Let our listeners know, as we were preparing for the interview there, you have a background in music and it sounds like it's all started from the church.
Yeah, you know what? That was my earliest experience because, of course, my dad was a preacher in what's known as the Churches of Christ. And we didn't use instrumental music there. We just had to sing a cappella. So he had a good friend by the name of Ray Walker Jr., who sang with this group called the Jordanaires, who were Elvis Presley's backup singers. And every year, my dad used to bring Ray Walker up to San Francisco to instruct his boys and girls because I have 8 brothers and 8 sisters,
Wow.
same mother and father, and he installed a choir.
Yeah.
He taught us how to sing, how to read music, and all of that. So that was my earliest experience. At 7 years old, they let me join the choir at
Yeah.
7. And so that's still my basis is gospel singing. That's
Yeah.
still my basis.
Wow. Raymond, you have 8 brothers and 8 sisters?
Yes. There's
Wow.
17 of us all together.
Yes.
And I'm right in the middle, number
Wow.
8.
Yeah, that's amazing. My goodness. I've always wondered what that was like to come from a large family like that. I just have a brother. So that's wow. And like you said,
Yeah,
it sounds like you guys had your own choir just with it amongst
we
brothers and
did.
sisters. So
We had our own everything. We had our
yeah.
own baseball team, basketball team, football team, and everything.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's definitely amazing. I didn't know that. Let our
So
listeners know. Now your name, this is a very unique name it is that you have. Raymond Uncle Ray Flowmaster Coates. Let's talk about that. How did you get that name and who gave that name to you?
well, my bass player at that time was Daryl Graham. And when I came off, he just started calling me Flowmaster. And I said, man, why you call me Flowmaster? And he said, man, brother, you be flowing when you on stage, man. And that's how I got it because that's what I like to do is flow when I sing and perform. I don't simply stand on stage and sing a song. I try to carry the audience through a complete experience. I
Hmm.
may sing, I may tell a story, I may make people laugh, or I might speak from the heart. Everything has to flow together for me. And somebody like Daryl Graham recognized that quality and he just gave me that name. And so
Yeah.
I said, I appreciate that because it showed me how people perceive me.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
appreciated that.
Wow. Yeah, and it's definitely a good description of the work it is that you do when it comes to, your craft of singing, entertainment, the arts, everything it is. And that's why it is I wanted to ask you that question, because usually when people give you a name, it pretty much is on point about who you are and describes you very
Hmm.
well. So yes, he did a good job.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yeah,
Let
I
our listeners,
appreciate Daryl Graham because he can play that bass too. So it's wonderful.
yes. Let our listeners know, when growing up, who was one of your biggest musical influences? I mean, you definitely have the foundation of gospel there,
Hmm.
coming from your dad. But outside of that, who were some of the artists that you looked at and influenced your music today?
Well, Otis Redding, Johnny Taylor, Tyrone Davis, Sam Cooke, Bobby Blue Bland, David Ruffin, Johnny Mathis, particularly because my older brother went to school with Johnny Mathis. And he was also in a band that was run by my other bass player, Tony Saunders. His father, whose name is Merle Saunders, had a band. And when they were in Galileo High School, and Johnny Mathis was their lead singer. So he definitely was one of mine. But I just say like this, gospel music was always a major influence
Yeah.
because it taught me how to sing with conviction, what you really, really feel, what you really believe, and what you really know. But those other artists helped to shape my Southern soul sound. That's the sound I have now. But I always try to tell my stories in my own way.
Yeah. And you do a great job at telling your stories. As we were preparing for the interview, I was listening to a few of your songs there. And I could tell that in your music, it's a great expression of maybe how you feel. If there's a situation maybe that you're going through, you put your heart and soul into your music. And I noticed that as we were preparing for the interview and listening to some of your music, which is very good, and especially today because, you get some music where you're like, I don't know what's going on here, but with your music
You
immediately,
don't knock it. You don't
yeah,
knock it, but
no,
what's
no,
going on? I
that's
like that.
exactly it too. Yeah, but with your music immediately, I knew, and I felt it too. I felt your music when I listened to it. So I totally know that, like I said, in your music, you are definitely telling a story, and expressing how you feel from your heart also too. And I guess
Hmm.
your heart and soul too.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. Let our listeners know. Now, when you are writing a song or when you're singing a song, how do you know that that song is complete? And you've mentioned several genres of music. Out of those genres, which one is your favorite?
Well, my favorite is Motown.
Okay.
That's my favorite genre. When I write, I basically generally start with that kind of impression in mind. But my favorite is Motown. Nobody, there'll never be. Maybe somewhere. I don't let me not say never because I don't like using that word.
Mm-hmm.
But within our lifespan, if there was gonna be something, it would be hard to see what Barry Gordy did with Motown. That was an exceptional period for making music. So that's one of the reasons why I keep on because I want to keep that kind of music alive.
Yeah. Yes, and you definitely do keep it alive. Like I said, with the music, it is that you have put out in at least the last 2 years, and what I listened to in preparing for the interview, I noticed that in the music, and that seems very near and dear to your heart also too. And then the second part of that question was, how do you know when a song is complete? I mean, either if you wrote it or someone else has written it for you and you're singing it, how do you know this is it?
Well, the melody and the lyrics, the instruments, and the emotion all has to work together. So when I finish, I ask myself, will somebody hear their own life in this song? And if the answer is yes to me, then the song is probably ready.
Mm, okay. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's probably ready when I can listen to all of the music, all the lyrics, the melody, and everything playing together. If the answer is yes, I'm like, that song is done, y'all.
Yeah. Now let me
It's
ask you
finished.
this: do you do all of your writing, Raymond, or does someone else assist in writing with you, or write for you?
You know what? I've had uh, experience writing my own music since I was like 15. And Bill Withers helped me then. But
Mhm.
now I do most of my own writing. I do have one guy right now. His name is Lauren Maurice Stewart, better known as Mosey MD, who wrote for the Earth, Wind, and Fire. He wrote for Morris Day and Time. And he's currently helping me with a lot of my Southern Soul sound. So, yeah, somebody helps me. Tony Saunders, as I said from the beginning, uh, taught me a lot about lyricism, about how to write lyrics, how to keep them simple. Because as you can listen to me now, I talk a lot and I tend to write my lyrics. There's so many of them until it's just I have to break them down and be like Sly Stone, say a lot with a few words. And Tony Saunders helped me with that tremendously.
Wow. It sounds like you have a wonderful team of people that support you along the way here in your musical career, that really give a lot into the work it is that you do. And that's what's needed. When we
You
talk
can't do.
about music, when we talk about business, we need that support. We need a team of people, behind us that maybe work behind the scenes to help us
Mhm.
along the way and to support us. And not only is that in music, but in business also too. And
Thank
and
you.
just in life in general. So that's good to know that within music here, with Mr. Raymond Flowmaster Coates, is that he has a great team, it sounds like, behind him that supports him along the way too. And again, that's what we need as business owners, y'all. We got to have that team
Right.
behind us that helps us along the way also.
Carmel, if
Yes.
you don't mind, let me say this while I'm here because the team is absolutely imperative that you have one. Now, although I call myself an independent artist, I have an angel that helps me to, and she don't like me calling her business partner. She don't call me that, don't call me that. But that's part of the team, and I have a wonderful team of people. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, Keith Klizark used to work with people like Tupac and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Well, he's on my team. He's like my musical consultant. And then there's Desiree. I got to give her a shout out
Oh
because
yeah.
Desiree Benson Brockington is on my team too. She's my publicist. She reaches out when someone wants to do an interview or something like that, or to prepare my EPK and all that. Desiree, and I'm not going to forget the members of my band, West Yee, okay? West
Yeah.
Yee, Butch Coles, let me say Dante Taz Roberson. Let me say Anthony Washington Jr. And then I have an engineer named
Yeah.
David Williams. These
Mm.
people are absolutely, look, to any independent artist, anybody that want to be a singer, recording artist, anything, get you a team.
Yes. That's exactly it. Is the team is so important. When it comes to the success, the journey,
That's right.
the story behind the music. Is it takes a team. It's not just one person, that runs the machine. And we have to
That's
have
right.
that team that supports us too, for sure.
Y-
And a big thank you to Desiree. Because like I said, yeah, she was the one that definitely was in between you and I and arranged everything. And she's a great person to have on your team. So we're
Absolutely.
going to say thank you to
Absolutely.
Desiree and all the work it is that she does also too. You know, yes. For
Absolutely.
those of you that are just tuning in, you are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Carmelle Bias, and we are in the studio once again here on a beautiful day in Seattle, Washington, with our guest, Mr. Raymond, Uncle Ray, Flomaster Coates here via StreamYard, all the way from
Turn it on.
California, and we're talking about music and business, and the support it is that we need to be successful, basically,
That's right.
and also to talking about his journey and expertise in the music industry. Let our listeners know, Raymond, when it comes to the message in your music, what do you want listeners to take away from your music?
You know what, Carmel? I,
Yes.
I want listeners to know that their lives, struggles, love, laughter, and dreams matter. Some of my songs are serious, and some are made for dancing and having fun. But every song should make you feel something. I especially want mature listeners to understand that age does not cancel purpose. Did you hear me? I
Yes.
said age does not cancel purpose. As long as God gives us breath, we can continue writing, creating, growing, loving, and following our dreams. That's what I want people to take away from my music.
Yes. And that's exactly it. And that's what music is all about. It's touching our hearts and touching our soul, to allow us to move and elevate to the next level. And that's what music is supposed to do for us. Why don't
Mhm.
you go ahead, Daniel? Are we able to get a little sample there of Mr. Raymond, Uncle Ray, Flowmaster Coates, a little bit of his music there? There was one song in particular that kind of stood out to me, like I said, that I was listening to last night. And if we're able to get a little sample of it, Daniel, we can go ahead and play that.
I came in cold, thought I was strong. One little smile and then my cool was gone. Tried to stay tall, tried to play ball. One taste of you I had lost in the song. You stirred me slow, turned up the flame. Now every heartbeat keep calling your name. I tried to leave, but paid cost. One more kiss I love in the song. There ain't no pause, lost in the sauce. Kiss my lip, Lord, lost in the song.
Yeah, yes, that song right there. Yes, that song right there. I was really impressed with last night. Tell us a little bit about that song.
You know what? First, let me give a shout out to Miss Melinda Hall because
Mm-hmm.
she's on my team too. And she'll every now and then create a video for my songs. Now, Lost in the Sauce is that family reunion song. That's the one, like when I go to a family reunion, usually I start my meal with the sweet stuff.
Yes,
Usually I'll head to the cake, the pie, and all that because I love sweet things.
yes,
But every now and then you come to a story where the sauce of the that goes on top of the potatoes or goes on top of the meat or whatever, the sauce is what you taste. And what I thought of when I was writing, when I first got the title, was Lost in the Sauce. Wow. Lost in the Sauce, somebody said to me. And so that's where that song evolved from.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was really impressed. Like I said, the music, the vocals, everything on
Thank you.
that song. And I just wanted to make sure that we got a sample and that our listeners was able to hear some of your music, which is out there on YouTube, is where that came from. So yes, again, like I said, I just was like, wow, this sounds great, and really
Thank you.
wanted to showcase the work it is that you do. Raymond, why don't you go ahead to let our listeners know, do you have any upcoming events? Anything it is that you want to share upcoming with our listeners here?
Of course, I'm going to be up in your area, Carmel. I'm going to be in exactly Panaway, Washington, which is not too far from Seattle, at
Hmm.
the West Coast Hip Hop Award Show put on by Octavius Miller. That's the 15th through the 18th of this month. So we look for y'all. Don't not to meet us there. We want you to beat us there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's the Hip Hop Awards you said, and that's in Spanaway, Washington?
Yeah, Panaway.
Okay.
Yes, it's in
Okay.
Panaway.
Okay. And that's the 15th through the 18th of August.
Yes,
Yes. Okay. And you're going to be performing, hopefully.
yes,
Yes. Okay. So we want to make sure
yes.
everybody comes on out. Is there a way to get tickets, or is there anywhere that we should direct our listeners to go to who want to come on out and support and have a good time?
Yeah, they can go to Eventbrite and put in the West Coast Hip Hop Music Award show, and it'll pop up, and you can get or you can go Octavius Miller at gmail.com. Either one of those, but the best is Eventbrite.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So for those of you that may want to attend, that again is going to be the Hip Hop Awards, August 15th through the 18th. You can check out eventbrite.com there for tickets and more information and details, and come on out and support Mr. Raymond Uncle Ray Flomaster. All right, Raymond, I want to thank you again for your time this afternoon with us here on Women Empowerment Talk Radio, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. All right, y'all, until next time, take care.
Thank you, Carmel.